Maya rubbed her tired eyes as she walked through the empty parking garage of Meridian Tower. Her second job at the diner had run late again, and now she was 30 minutes behind schedule for her night cleaning shift. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows that made everything look cold and unwelcoming. She pulled her worn jacket tighter around her shoulders and quickened her pace toward the service entrance. The security guard barely looked up from his newspaper as she swiped her employee card. Maya had been working here for almost 2 years, and most of the building staff knew her by sight. She was the quiet one who never caused trouble, always showed up on time and did her job without complaints. Tonight felt different, though. Her supervisor, Mrs. Rodriguez, had called in sick with the flu, leaving Maya to figure out her assignments from a hastily scribbled note left at the front desk. Maya squinted at the handwriting in the dim lobby light. The note was smudged and hard to read, but she could make out what looked like Floor 45 Executive Suite. She frowned. That didn't sound right. She usually cleaned the marketing offices on the 15th floor, the same routine she'd been doing for months, but Mrs. Rodriguez had mentioned something about special assignments this week to cover for other sick employees. She shrugged and headed to the elevator bank. Maybe they needed extra help on the higher floors. Maya had heard whispers from other cleaning staff about the executive levels, but she'd never been up there herself. Those floors were usually handled by a special crew that got paid more and had to sign extra paperwork about confidentiality. The elevator ride to the 45th floor seemed to take forever. Maya watched the numbers climb higher than she'd ever been in the building. When the doors finally opened, she stepped into a hallway that looked nothing like the rest of the building. The carpet was thick and soft under her feet, and the walls were lined with expensive-looking artwork. Even the air smelled different up here, clean and fresh with a hint of something that reminded her of expensive hotels. Maya found the office number that matched her assignment sheet and used the master key that Mrs. Rodriguez had left for her. The door opened with a quiet click, and Maya stepped inside, immediately gasping at what she saw. This wasn't like any office she had ever cleaned before. The space was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a breathtaking view of the city lights spread out below. The furniture looked like it belonged in a magazine, all dark wood and leather that probably cost more than Maya made in a year. A massive desk dominated one corner, its surface so polished she could see her reflection in it. Maya set down her cleaning supplies and looked around in amazement. She'd never seen anything so beautiful in her life. The walls were decorated with paintings that looked like they belonged in a museum, and there were fresh flowers arranged in crystal vases that caught the light from the city outside. Even the books on the shelves looked expensive, their leather bindings gleaming under the soft lighting. For a moment, Maya felt like she was intruding in someone's private world. But then she remembered why she was here. Someone important obviously worked in this office, and they deserved to have it cleaned properly. Maya had always taken pride in her work, no matter where she was assigned. Her mother had taught her that any job worth doing was worth doing well. She plugged in her earbuds and started her usual routine. Maya began with the windows, carefully cleaning each pane until they were spotless. The view was even more spectacular through clean glass, and she found herself pausing occasionally to admire the city lights twinkling like stars below. Next, she moved to the desk, carefully lifting each item to dust underneath. There were expensive-looking pens in a marble holder, a few business cards from international companies, and a small framed photo of what looked like a mountain landscape. Maya was careful not to disturb anything, placing each item back exactly where she found it. The bookshelf was next, and Maya couldn't help but admire the collection. There were books on business and economics, but also novels and poetry collections that surprised her. Whoever worked here had varied interests. She dusted each shelf carefully, making sure not to disturb the precise arrangement of the books. As she worked, Maya found herself wondering about the person who spent their days in this beautiful space. The office felt lived in despite its perfection. There was a coffee mug on the side table that needed washing, and she noticed a few papers scattered on the desk that suggested someone had been working late recently. Maya moved to the seating area, where 2 leather chairs faced each other across a low table. She vacuumed the area carefully, then used special cleaner on the leather to make it shine. Everything in the office seemed to have its perfect place, and Maya did her best to maintain that sense of order. The bathroom attached to the office was like a small spa, with marble surfaces and gold fixtures that gleamed under the lights. Maya cleaned every surface until it sparkled, replacing the expensive-looking hand towels with fresh ones from her cart. As she worked, Maya lost track of time. This office required more attention than her usual assignments, but she didn't mind. There was something satisfying about bringing out the natural beauty of such an elegant space. She found herself humming along to the music in her earbuds, feeling more relaxed than she had all day. Maya noticed that one of the plants near the window looked a little dry, so she gave it some water from the small watering can she kept on her cart. She straightened a picture that was slightly crooked and repositioned a chair that had been pushed away from the desk. The final touch was emptying the waste baskets and replacing the liners. Even the trash cans in this office were nicer than anything Maya had in her own apartment. Everything was designed with care and attention to detail. Maya stepped back to admire her work. The office looked perfect, every surface gleaming and everything in its proper place. The city lights outside seemed to shine even brighter through the clean windows, and the whole space felt peaceful and welcoming. She was just starting to pack up her supplies when she heard something that made her freeze. It was the soft ding of the elevator arriving at the floor, followed by footsteps in the hallway outside. Maya's heart began to race. According to her schedule, this floor should be empty at this hour. All the executives went home hours ago, and security made their rounds on a different schedule. The footsteps stopped right outside the office door. Maya heard the sound of a keycard being swiped, and her blood turned cold as she realized her mistake. This wasn't just any executive office. This was someone's private workspace, and they were about to walk in and find her there. Maya quickly pulled out her earbuds, her hands shaking as she tried to think of what to do. She was trapped in the office with no way out except through the door where someone was about to enter. All she could do was hope that whoever it was would understand that she was just doing her job, even if she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The office door swung open and Maya's heart nearly stopped. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped inside, his dark hair slightly disheveled from travel. He carried a leather briefcase in one hand and was pulling a small suitcase behind him with the other. The man looked exhausted, like he'd been traveling for hours. But the moment he saw Maya standing frozen in the middle of his office, his tired expression turned to shock and then anger. Ryan Mitchell had been looking forward to the quiet sanctuary of his private office after the disaster of a business trip to London. The merger that was supposed to make his company billions had fallen through at the last minute, and all he wanted was to sit in his chair, pour himself a drink from the bar in his office, and try to figure out his next move. The last thing he expected was to find a stranger in his personal space. Maya felt like her feet were glued to the floor. She couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even breathe properly. The man standing in the doorway was clearly important, probably the owner of this beautiful office, and she was trespassing. Her cleaning supplies were scattered around her feet where she'd dropped them, and she was still holding the microfiber cloth she'd been using to dust his desk. "Who are you?" Ryan's voice was sharp and cold. He set down his briefcase and stepped fully into the office, closing the door behind him. "What are you doing in here?" Maya opened her mouth to answer, but no words came out. Her throat felt dry, and her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold on to the cleaning cloth. She'd never been good with confrontation, and this was her worst nightmare come true. Ryan's eyes scanned the room quickly, taking in the cleaning supplies and Maya's uniform. But instead of relaxing, he seemed to become more suspicious. His office looked different somehow, cleaner and more organized than usual. He noticed that his papers were arranged more neatly than he'd left them, and his books seemed to be in a different order. "Are you going through my files?" he demanded, taking another step toward Maya. "Who sent you here?" I... Maya finally found her voice, but it came out as barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "You didn't mean to what?" Ryan's voice was getting louder. "Break into my office? Go through my personal belongings? Do you have any idea who I am?" Maya shook her head frantically. She had no idea who he was, only that he was clearly very powerful and very angry. Tears started to form in her eyes, but she blinked them back. She couldn't cry now, not when she needed to explain herself. Ryan walked over to his desk and noticed that everything was perfectly clean and organized. His computer was still password protected, but his papers were arranged in neat stacks that he definitely hadn't made. Someone had been going through his things, and he couldn't understand why a cleaning lady would need to organize his documents. "I'm calling security," he said, reaching for his phone. And then I'm calling the police. No, please. Maya finally found her voice, panic giving her the courage to speak up. Please don't call anyone. I work here, I promise. I'm just a cleaning lady. I clean the offices every night. Ryan paused with his hand on the phone. Cleaning lady? I've never seen you before. I usually clean the 15th floor. Maya explained quickly, her words tumbling over each other. But my supervisor was sick and I got the wrong assignment. I thought I was supposed to clean this office. I didn't know it belonged to someone important. The wrong assignment? Ryan's eyes narrowed. That's a convenient story. Maya fumbled in her pocket and pulled out the crumpled assignment sheet that Mrs. Rodriguez had left for her. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold it steady. Look, here's my assignment. It says floor 45. I thought it was just another office to clean. Ryan took the paper from her and studied it. The handwriting was messy and hard to read, but it did look legitimate. Still, he wasn't convinced. Industrial espionage was a real threat in his business, and he'd heard of competitors using cleaning staff to steal information. How long have you been in here? He asked. About 2 hours, Maya admitted. I always take my time to do a good job. I cleaned everything, the windows, the desk, the bookshelf, the bathroom. You were in my private bathroom? Ryan's voice rose again. I cleaned it, Maya said quickly. I replaced the towels and cleaned all the surfaces. That's what I always do. Ryan walked to his bathroom and looked inside. It was spotless, cleaner than his housekeeper usually left it. He came back out and looked around his office again. Everything was perfect, more perfect than it had ever been. His plants looked healthier, his windows were crystal clear, and even his leather furniture seemed to be glowing. But that didn't mean he trusted her. Anyone could clean an office while searching through files and taking pictures of important documents. He pulled out his phone again. I'm calling security to verify your story, he said. Maya nodded, relieved that he was at least willing to check instead of just having her arrested immediately. She watched as he dialed a number and waited for someone to answer. This is Ryan Mitchell, he said when someone picked up. I'm in my office and there's a cleaning lady here. Can you verify that she's supposed to be on this floor tonight? Maya could hear the muffled voice on the other end of the phone, but she couldn't make out what they were saying. Ryan's expression gradually changed from suspicious to confused as he listened. I see, he said finally. And you're sure about that? Okay, thank you. He hung up the phone and looked at Maya with a slightly less hostile expression. Security confirms that you work here and that your supervisor called in sick tonight. They say there was some confusion with the assignments. Maya let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Thank you, she whispered, but Ryan still didn't look entirely convinced. That still doesn't explain why you were going through my papers. I wasn't going through them, Maya protested. I was just trying to dust around them. I always try to organize things a little when I clean. I thought it would be helpful. Ryan picked up one of the stacks of papers from his desk. They were perfectly aligned and sorted in a way that actually made more sense than how he'd left them. He had to admit that if someone was trying to steal his information, they probably wouldn't have bothered to organize it so neatly afterward. He looked at Maya more closely for the first time. She was small and young, probably in her early 20s, with tired eyes and calloused hands that spoke of long hours of hard work. Her uniform was clean but worn, and she had the kind of nervous energy that came from someone who was genuinely scared, not someone who was acting. Why were you listening to music while you worked? He asked, noticing the earbud still hanging from her uniform pocket. I always listen to music when I clean, Maya said. It helps me focus and makes the time go by faster. I didn't think anyone would mind. Ryan realized that if she was a spy, she probably wouldn't have been so distracted by music that she didn't hear him coming down the hallway. A real industrial spy would have been on high alert for exactly this kind of situation. The tension in the room started to ease slightly, but Maya could tell that this powerful man still didn't trust her completely. She didn't blame him. If she owned an office like this, she'd probably be suspicious of strangers too. Ryan set his phone down on the desk and studied Maya's face. The security guard had confirmed everything. She was indeed an employee. Her supervisor was sick and there had been a mix-up with the cleaning assignments. But what struck him most was how genuinely frightened she looked. In his years running the company, he'd dealt with plenty of people who tried to deceive him, and they never showed this kind of raw, honest fear. Maya stood perfectly still, afraid that any sudden movement might change his mind about calling the police. She watched as Ryan walked slowly around his office, examining everything she had cleaned. His expression was unreadable, and she couldn't tell if he was still angry or just confused. "You said you've been working here for 2 years?" Ryan asked, stopping by his bookshelf. "Yes, sir," Maya replied, her voice still shaky. "Every night except Sundays. I clean the marketing offices on the 15th floor." Ryan ran his finger along one of the shelves and examined it. Not a speck of dust. He'd had professional cleaning services before, expensive ones, but none of them had ever paid this much attention to detail. Even his books were arranged better than before, organized by height and subject in a way that actually made sense. "Who taught you to clean like this?" he asked, genuinely curious now. Maya looked surprised by the question. "My mother, I guess. She always said that if you're going to do something, you should do it right. She used to clean houses when I was little, and sometimes I would go with her during school breaks." "Your mother was a house cleaner?" "She did whatever work she could find," Maya said, a hint of pride creeping into her voice despite her nervousness. "She always made sure our own little apartment was perfect, even though we didn't have much money. She said taking pride in your work was something nobody could take away from you." Ryan nodded slowly. He walked over to his desk and picked up the small stack of business cards that Maya had straightened. They were arranged alphabetically, something his high-paid assistant had never bothered to do. He noticed that she had even cleaned his computer monitor and keyboard without disturbing any of his settings. "You watered my plants," he observed, looking at the small ficus tree by the window. "They looked thirsty," Maya said quietly. "I hope that was okay. I always check the plants when I clean. It only takes a minute." Ryan had forgotten he even had plants in his office. His assistant was supposed to take care of them, but she usually forgot, and Ryan was too busy to notice when they started to look sad. Now they looked healthier than they had in months. "You also fixed something," he said, pointing to a chair near his desk. "It used to wobble." Maya bit her lip. "I found a loose screw underneath. I tightened it with the small screwdriver I keep in my cleaning kit. I thought you might not have noticed it was wobbly, but it could have been annoying when you tried to work." For the first time since entering his office, Ryan felt his anger completely fade away. This woman hadn't been trying to steal anything or spy on him. She had genuinely been trying to make his workspace better. The attention to detail, the care she had taken with everything. It was unlike anything he had experienced from a service worker in years. "Why do you work so hard?" he asked, sitting down in the chair she had fixed. It was perfectly steady now. Maya seemed surprised by the question. "What do you mean?" "You could have just emptied the trash and vacuumed the floor. Most people would have been done in 30 minutes. You spent 2 hours here, organizing things, fixing things, taking care of details that nobody asked you to handle." Maya thought about it for a moment. "I guess I like making things better. When I finish cleaning a room, I want it to be the best it can be. It makes me feel good to know that when someone comes to work the next day, they'll have a nice clean space that might make their day a little easier." Ryan stared at her. In his world, everyone wanted something. Every conversation was a negotiation. Every relationship was transactional. But this young woman was talking about taking pride in work that most people would consider beneath them, and she seemed to genuinely mean it. "You said you've never been on this floor before?" "Never," Maya confirmed. "I didn't even know offices like this existed in the building. It's beautiful. The view is incredible." Ryan glanced out at the city lights that Maya had made even more spectacular by cleaning his windows to perfection. "You're not curious about who works here? About what kind of business is conducted in an office like this?" Maya shook her head. "It's not my business. I just clean offices. I don't need to know what happens in them during the day." This impressed Ryan even more. Most people would have been asking questions, trying to figure out if they could gain something from the encounter. Maya seemed content to simply do her job well and go home. "Tell me about your other jobs," Ryan said, settling back in his chair. Maya looked confused. "Sir? You said you were late because your other job ran over? What other job?" "I work at Danny's Diner downtown during the day," Maya explained. "I serve tables and sometimes help in the kitchen when they're busy. And on weekends, I babysit for a family in my neighborhood. That's 3 jobs, Ryan calculated. When do you sleep?" Maya gave a small, tired smile. "Whenever I can. I usually get about 5 hours a night. Sometimes less if I have schoolwork to finish." "Schoolwork?" "I'm taking online business classes," Maya said. then immediately looked like she regretted mentioning it. Just a few courses. I'm trying to get my associate's degree. Ryan leaned forward, interested. What kind of business classes? Basic accounting, business management, marketing fundamentals, Maya listed. Nothing fancy. I probably sound silly talking about business to someone like you. Someone like me. Maya gestured around the luxurious office. Someone who obviously knows a lot about business. Someone successful? Ryan was quiet for a moment. Why business classes? Why not something else? Maya hesitated, then seemed to decide she had nothing left to lose by being honest. My little brother has special needs and my mom is getting older. Right now I can only take care of them by working multiple jobs, but I can't do that forever. I thought maybe if I learned about business, I could eventually start something of my own. Something small. Maybe a cleaning service or a catering business. Something that could grow into enough income to support my family properly. Ryan felt something he rarely experienced. Genuine respect for someone else's ambition. This young woman was working herself to exhaustion, not for luxury or status, but to build a better life for people she cared about. She had more drive and determination than most of the business executives he dealt with every day. How close are you to finishing your degree? He asked. About 1.5 years if I can keep up with the payments for classes, Maya said. Some months are harder than others. Ryan stood up and walked to his window, looking out at the city below. Maya had made the glass so clean it was like looking through air. He could see his reflection clearly, and behind it, Maya's small figure still standing nervously by his desk. Maya, he said, turning back to her. That is your name, right? She nodded. I want you to come back tomorrow night. Maya's eyes went wide with panic. Oh no, sir, I promise I'll never make this mistake again. I'll double-check my assignments and— No, Ryan interrupted. I want you to come back and clean this office again. I don't understand. Ryan smiled for the first time all evening. In 20 years of business, I've never seen anyone take this much care with their work. My office has never looked this good. I want you to clean it again tomorrow night. But what about my regular assignment? I'll handle that, Ryan said. I'll make sure you get paid extra for the additional work. Maya stared at him in disbelief. You're not firing me? Firing you? Ryan laughed, a sound that surprised them both. Maya, I'm promoting you. 2 weeks had passed since that first unexpected meeting, and Maya still couldn't believe how much her life had changed. Every night she took the elevator to the 45th floor, knowing that Ryan would be waiting in his office. What had started as a simple cleaning arrangement had somehow turned into something she had never expected. The first few nights had been awkward. Maya would arrive at her usual time, and Ryan would be sitting at his desk pretending to work but clearly watching her every move. She could feel his eyes following her as she cleaned, and it made her nervous. But gradually something shifted between them. It started with small conversations. Ryan would ask her how her day at the diner had gone, or whether she had classes that week. Maya was surprised that he remembered the details of her life, and even more surprised that he seemed genuinely interested in her answers. How was the test? Ryan asked one evening as Maya was dusting his bookshelf. She had mentioned the week before that she had a big accounting exam coming up. I think I did okay, Maya replied, carefully cleaning each book spine. The professor said we wouldn't get results for another week, but I studied as much as I could between shifts. Where do you study? Ryan asked, looking up from his computer. Usually at the library, Maya said. It's quiet there and they have free internet. Sometimes I study at the diner during slow periods, but Danny doesn't like it when I have books out while I'm supposed to be working. Ryan frowned. You study at the library every night after working all day? When I can, Maya said. It closes at 9, so I have to get there right after my diner shift ends. Sometimes I'm too tired to focus properly, but I try. That night, Ryan did something that surprised Maya. As she was packing up her cleaning supplies, he handed her a key card. What's this? She asked. It's access to the building's business center on the 20th floor, Ryan explained. It's open 24 hours and it's usually empty at night. There are computers, printers, and quiet study spaces. You can use it whenever you need to. Maya stared at the key card in disbelief. I can't accept this. What if I get in trouble? You won't get in trouble, Ryan assured her. I'm giving you permission. Consider it a workplace benefit. Maya looked up at him with tears in her eyes. Why are you being so kind to me? Ryan was quiet for a moment, then said, Because you deserve it. As the days went on, their conversations grew longer and more personal. Maya learned that despite his success and wealth, Ryan was profoundly lonely. He worked 16-hour days not because he had to, but because he didn't know what else to do with his time. "Don't you have friends?" Maya asked one evening as she organized his desk. "People you spend time with outside of work?" Ryan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Business associates, yes. Friends, not really. When you reach a certain level of success, it becomes hard to tell who likes you for yourself and who just wants something from you." "That sounds really lonely," Maya said softly. "It is," Ryan admitted, surprising himself with his honesty. "I can't remember the last time I had a conversation with someone who didn't want anything from me." Maya looked at him thoughtfully. "Is that why you like talking to me? Because I don't want anything from you?" "Partly," Ryan said. "But also because you're interesting. You see things differently than most people I know." "Different how?" "You find joy in small things," Ryan explained. "Like when you water my plants or when you straighten my books. Most people in my world are always looking for the next big deal, the next promotion, the next acquisition. You're content to make things a little bit better wherever you are." Maya blushed at the compliment. "I just like doing good work." "It's more than that," Ryan said. "You care about things. You care about doing your job well, about your family, about your education. You care about making my office a pleasant place to work even though you barely know me." Their conversations weren't always serious. Maya discovered that Ryan had a dry sense of humor that matched her own. He would tell her stories about difficult clients or board meetings that had gone wrong. And Maya would share funny incidents from the diner or amusing things her little brother had said. "Today a customer asked me if we had gluten-free water," Maya said one night, laughing as she cleaned Ryan's windows. "Gluten-free water?" Ryan chuckled. "What did you tell them?" "I kept a straight face and said, yes, all our water is gluten-free, but it costs an extra $2. Maya grinned. "They actually paid it." Ryan laughed harder than he had in months. "You didn't really charge them extra, did you?" "Of course not," Maya said. "But Danny says I should have. He says if people want to pay extra for common sense, we should let them." These moments of shared laughter became precious to both of them. For Maya, it was wonderful to talk to someone who appreciated her humor and intelligence. For Ryan, it was refreshing to laugh about something that wasn't work-related. Maya also learned about Ryan's background. Despite his current success, he hadn't grown up wealthy. His father had been a factory worker, and his mother had cleaned offices just like Maya did now. "My mom would have liked you," Ryan said one evening as Maya was finishing up her work. "She had the same attention to detail, the same pride in doing things right." "What happened to her?" Maya asked gently. "Cancer," Ryan said simply. "When I was in college. My dad never recovered from losing her. He died 2 years later." "I'm sorry," Maya said. "That must have been really hard." "It was," Ryan acknowledged. "But it also motivated me. I knew they had sacrificed a lot to help me get an education, and I didn't want their sacrifice to be wasted." Maya understood that drive intimately. "Is that why you work so hard now?" "Partly," Ryan said. "But somewhere along the way work became everything. I built this company to honor their memory. But I think I forgot how to live my own life in the process." As their friendship deepened, Maya began to notice changes in Ryan. He seemed less stressed, more willing to smile. Sometimes he would leave his office door open while she worked, and she could hear him on phone calls that sounded less intense than they had in the beginning. Ryan noticed changes in Maya too. She seemed more confident, more willing to share her opinions and ideas. The nervous, frightened woman he had first encountered was being replaced by someone who was beginning to believe in her own worth. But their growing friendship wasn't going unnoticed by others in the building. The other cleaning staff had started whispering about Maya's extended shifts on the executive floor. Some of them were jealous of what they perceived as special treatment, while others were genuinely concerned that Maya might be getting herself into trouble. "Girl, you need to be careful," said Linda, an older woman who had been cleaning the building for over a decade. "Rich men like that don't make friends with girls like us unless they want something." "It's not like that," Maya protested. "He's just lonely, and he appreciates good work." "Honey, I've been doing this job for a long time," Linda said kindly but firmly. "Men with that kind of power don't see us as equals no matter how nice they seem." "You're playing with fire," Maya wanted to argue, but she could see the concern in Linda's eyes. The older woman was trying to protect her, and Maya appreciated that even if she didn't agree. The rumors reached Ryan's assistant, Jessica, who had been with the company for 5 years and prided herself on knowing everything that happened in the executive offices. She started paying closer attention to Ryan's schedule, noticing that he was staying late more often and seeming more relaxed during the day. One evening, Jessica decided to work late herself, curious about what was keeping her boss in the office so long. What she discovered would change everything for Maya and Ryan, threatening the unique connection they had built over those precious 2 weeks of honest conversation and growing trust. Jessica had been working late for 3 nights straight, watching and waiting. From her desk outside Ryan's office, she could hear voices and occasional laughter coming from behind his closed door. At first, she thought he was having late meetings with important clients. But when she saw Maya's cleaning cart in the hallway, Jessica realized something very different was happening. On Thursday night, Jessica made her move. She had prepared a detailed report about what she called irregular activities in the executive suite. Armed with her documentation and a sense of righteous duty to protect the company, she scheduled a meeting with the building management and human resources. Maya arrived for work that evening completely unaware of the storm brewing around her. She had been looking forward to telling Ryan about her accounting test results, which had finally been posted online. She had gotten an A-, her best grade yet, and she knew he would be proud of her. But when Maya stepped off the elevator on the 45th floor, she found 3 people waiting for her outside Ryan's office. Jessica stood with Tom Chen from Building Security and Patricia Williams from Human Resources. Their serious expressions immediately told Maya that something was very wrong. "Maya Rodriguez," Patricia said formally, checking her clipboard. "We need to speak with you." Maya's heart sank. She had known this was too good to be true. "Is this about cleaning Mr. Mitchell's office?" "Among other things," Patricia replied coldly. "There have been reports of inappropriate conduct and violation of building security protocols." "Inappropriate conduct?" Maya's voice came out as a whisper. Jessica stepped forward, her voice sharp with accusation. "You've been spending hours alone with Mr. Mitchell every night. Security cameras show you arriving at his office and not leaving for extended periods. This is highly irregular and suggests unprofessional behavior." Maya felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment and anger. "It's not what you think. I clean his office and sometimes we talk. That's all." "Cleaning doesn't require 2 hours of conversation," Tom added, looking uncomfortable but doing his job. "And you've been given access to restricted areas without proper authorization." "Mr. Mitchell gave me permission to use the business center," Maya protested, "which raises even more questions about the nature of your relationship," Patricia said, making notes on her clipboard. Maya realized that no matter what she said, these people had already made up their minds about her. In their world, a cleaning lady and a CEO couldn't possibly have an innocent friendship. The class difference was too great for them to believe that Ryan might simply enjoy her company. "Where is Mr. Mitchell now?" Maya asked. "He's in a board meeting and shouldn't be disturbed," Jessica said quickly. This matter can be resolved without involving him further. But Maya could see through the window that Ryan's office was dark. There was no board meeting. They were handling this without him on purpose. "I want to speak with him," Maya said, finding her courage. "That won't be necessary," Patricia replied. "We're prepared to handle this quietly. You can resign effective immediately. We'll provide a neutral reference and no charges will be filed. Consider yourself fortunate." Maya stared at them in disbelief. "Charges for what?" "Cleaning an office and having conversations?" "For violating security protocols, misusing company resources, and engaging in inappropriate relationships with executive staff," Patricia listed. "These are serious violations that could result in criminal charges if we chose to pursue them." Maya knew they were trying to scare her into leaving quietly, but the injustice of it all made her angry rather than frightened. She had worked harder than anyone else in the building, had never stolen anything or caused any trouble, and had genuinely helped Ryan during a difficult time in his life. None of that mattered to these people because they couldn't see past their own prejudices. "I'm not resigning," Maya said firmly. "Then you're terminated," Patricia said without hesitation. "Security will escort you out." Just as Tom stepped forward to take Maya's arm, they heard the ding of the elevator. Ryan stepped out, still wearing his suit from dinner with clients, looking tired but relaxed. His expression changed instantly when he saw the group gathered outside his office. "What's going on here?" he asked, his voice carrying the authority that had built his business empire. Jessica stepped forward eagerly. "Mr. Mitchell, we were just handling the situation with the cleaning staff. Everything is under control. What situation? Ryan's eyes found Maya and he could see that she was upset. There have been reports of inappropriate conduct, Patricia began, but Ryan cut her off. Inappropriate conduct by whom? Well, sir, it appears that this employee has been spending excessive time in your office and has been granted unauthorized access to restricted areas, Patricia explained. Ryan looked at each of them in turn, his expression growing colder. I see. And who authorized this investigation? Building management felt it was necessary to maintain proper security and professional standards, Tom said uncomfortably. Building management, Ryan repeated slowly. In my building, investigating activities in my office. Without consulting me, the three investigators suddenly realized they might have made a serious mistake. Ryan's tone was becoming dangerously quiet, which everyone who worked with him knew was much worse than when he shouted. Sir, we were just trying to protect the company's interests, Jessica said quickly. By harassing my employees? Ryan asked. By conducting secret investigations based on assumptions and gossip? He turned to Maya, his expression softening. Are you all right? Maya nodded, though tears were threatening to spill over. They want me to resign or be fired. On what grounds? Ryan demanded, looking back at the investigators. Violation of security protocols and inappropriate conduct, Patricia repeated, though she sounded less confident now. Define inappropriate conduct, Ryan said. Patricia hesitated. Well, the excessive time spent alone together, the unauthorized access, the appearance of impropriety. The appearance of impropriety, Ryan repeated. Based on what evidence? The security cameras show Maya cleaning my office and us having conversations, Ryan interrupted. Is conversation now considered inappropriate conduct? Sir, surely you understand how this looks, Jessica said. The difference in your positions, the late hours, the special treatment. Ryan's eyes flashed dangerously. Special treatment? Maya works 3 jobs to support her family while pursuing her education. She cleans my office better than any professional service I've ever hired. She's honest, hardworking, and intelligent. If recognizing and rewarding good work is special treatment, then yes, I'm guilty. The room fell silent. Maya stared at Ryan in amazement. She had never heard anyone defend her so passionately. Furthermore, Ryan continued, Maya has my complete authorization to be in my office and to use any company facilities I deem appropriate. If you have a problem with my decisions, you can take it up with the board of directors. He paused, looking at each of them again. But first you owe Maya an apology, sir. I don't think, Patricia began. That wasn't a request, Ryan said firmly. The 3 of them mumbled awkward apologies to Maya, though it was clear they still didn't understand why they were wrong. After they left, Ryan and Maya stood alone in the hallway. Maya was shaking, partly from anger and partly from relief. I thought I was going to lose my job, she said quietly. Never, Ryan said. Not as long as I have anything to say about it. But they're right about one thing, Maya said. This does look strange. A CEO and a cleaning lady becoming friends. People will always talk. Ryan considered this for a moment. Then maybe it's time to change the story they're telling. 6 months later, Maya walked into the same building wearing a business suit instead of a cleaning uniform. Her new office was on the 32nd floor, with a nameplate that read Maya Rodriguez, Operations Manager. Ryan had offered her the position after she completed her associate's degree, which the company had paid for.
Maya had proven herself capable of organizing not just his office but entire departments.
Her attention to detail and genuine care for doing things right had made her invaluable. The friendship that had started in those late-night conversations had grown into a professional partnership built on mutual respect. Maya had brought warmth and humanity to Ryan's sterile business world, while he had given her opportunities to grow and succeed beyond her dreams. Looking back, Maya realized that making the wrong assignment that night had actually led her to exactly the right place. Sometimes the best things in life come from unexpected detours, and sometimes the most important connections happen when you least expect them.